Hi, I'm Lyman, and I'm here with my good friend Marcel, and together we are presenting to you the Jazz and Grass and Other Stuff Too podcast.
Hey, what's up, everyone? We love having you here for just a little bit. Hopefully you're having a nice day. I do want to say that what we do besides this podcast is we do run an account on Instagram. We're going to talk more about that later, but all you need to know right now is that we post a new lick every single weekday on that Instagram account, Jazz and Grass.
I do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and Marcel does Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Hey, I get the better uploading schedule.
Every time Monday rolls around, I'm like, oh yeah, it's time to get back at the Jazz and Grass, and then I have to wait an entire day. That said, if you have any questions, you can call or text us at area code 724-257-1046. That's area code 724-257-1046.
Just for all the folks at home, if you didn't hear the thunder, I just had the massive thunderstrike again, and my phone is telling me there's a flash flood warning. Shout out to everyone in North Carolina.
It rained here for like the first time in months yesterday. Just a few little drops.
Oh man, you didn't even get like the torrential stuff. Normally you get that in Arizona, right? Like when it rains pretty hard, you know?
Yeah, monsoon season. It happened a little bit last year. Usually every day I had a gig outside. And we had no rain out contract, so
that's good. Yeah, I'm supposed to play an outdoor gig tomorrow, and I don't know. Fingers crossed it gets canceled. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have a rain out contract where, like, if you show up and it's raining, they give you half?
Not for this gig. I have in the past, but I don't know. I would have been smart to have had one on this one. Anyway, man. What are we talking about today? You want to get into it? I know you're in charge of this episode, man. You got so much stuff happening in your life. You gotta get all that off your chest.
Well, first things first. I bought my very first soldering iron.
What?
Yeah, I bought a soldering iron.
You're trying to work on guitars now, like a real guitarist.
No, I'm trying to fix all of my broken guitars because every guitar I own is broken.
That's nice, man. So you're just like connecting whatever you think to whatever else?
Yeah, like I'll go on YouTube and look at a video of somebody wiring it and that looks about right. Let's try that. And I was able to resolder the ground wire on my Squier P bass. I broke it off like after being so careful to not break it. When I was changing pick guards, I swapped pick guards, and right at the very end, as I was about to put it back, I just snapped the ground wire off, and so that was like 3 or 4 months ago, and decided to buy a soldering iron, and I resoldered it, and it works great. My pots are still really, really dirty, like this one. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can't hear it.
I
bet it's in the recording
pots, though. They go away. That sound goes away. But my neck pickup on my fretless J has become completely desoldered. So that's my next large project.
Well, nice, man. It kind of come at a better time because today is weird. Today we're both playing electric guitars. Yeah. For whatever reason, I'm playing an electric guitar today, but I figured I would take it out and start playing it a little bit more because I don't really play it. So today I'm all about 90s country.
Yeah, man. Your electric guitar playing sounds great. I I have a couple of questions for you. What do you do with the volume knob? Where do you put it normally for regular playing?
Oh yeah, it's a good question. So I normally like my hand motion, I roll it all the way up and then back like maybe a quarter turn. And then on this guitar, which is oh man, I'm gonna look like a total jerk right now. But I believe it's a 2015 or 2016, but it's the Fender. I think it's called the American Elite, something like that. Point is, it's like the most expensive one, and that's why I'm gonna look like a jerk because I just said that. With the tone all the way on, and actually kind of contrary to what you think of normal country playing, with the pickup selector right in the middle, I think it sounds like a really nice, like bright lead tone. It's what I'm using right now. But yeah, that's how I normally run this thing. This guitar has a really cool feature too, where it has a button in the middle of the volume knob, so I can run my pickups in series, I guess, and it gives you like a little boost. I'm sure you can hear that I'm much louder than I was before.
For the first 10 years I played electric guitar and electric bass, I ran my volume knob at 100% of the time. And this new guitar I got, the Ibanez Roadster II, it actually has a tone knob that works. Like, all the tone doesn't happen between 1 and 2. Like I can roll and different things happen.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah. Different things happen to the sound. But on this guitar, I've been running it at about 8. The numbers, where the numbers are placed on this volume knob, they make a lot of sense to me. Like I can see where 8 is. I can see when it's at 10. Yeah, we got off the train pretty quick. I was talking about a soldering iron.
So I'm going to take us further off the train, if that's okay with you, Lyman.
Mm-hmm.
Because something very funny is happening over here in my world. Right before we started recording, Lyman can attest to this. There was this huge thunder strike clap. How do you say that? And then I saw a spark over here in the room, and my power kind of dipped, and it was over by my amp. And I was like, "Oh man, I hope everything's fine." And I couldn't find what was wrong. And now that we're recording, I see that my condenser that was miking my amp is just flipping out right now. Can you hear any crackling, Lyman?
Yes, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, I think the power dip actually blew my condenser or something. I'm gonna fiddle with it right now. Just let's leave the podcast going. You just talk for me while I fiddle.
All right, let's do this. I've never done this before. Hey, I'm Marcel. I'm so great. I am amazing.
Sounds like you've done it before.
Let me play some country licks. How do I play chord?
Does that sound better, Lyman?
Play it again. Yeah, I hear less crackly stuff.
Let's see if there's any crackly stuff at all.
So we just paused to check out, the damage of the lightning, and you heard it.
Oh yeah, I just got a text from my girlfriend, and she says the power is going on and off at the gym. So apparently it's horrible everywhere. If this podcast gets cut short, just know that Lyman will forge ahead without me.
Mm-hmm. It will be really good or really bad or somewhere between those two things.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, your soldering iron. Man, we got way off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did the worst thing. I soldered I was on my bed soldering. And luckily I didn't.
As you do.
I didn't light anything on fire. I didn't burn myself. And I got the soldering iron put away and cooled off before my wife got home, which I promptly told her I was soldering in bed because I cannot tell a lie to her.
Hey man, there's your soldering iron right behind you. That's it, isn't it?
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Man, why didn't you? You should have done like an unboxing video or something.
So getting even further sidetracked, I went to Walmart with my British buddy. He was looking for like heat shrink tubing and like mushrooms and stuff to make food with. Bunch of weird stuff. And so he got the stuff for dinner that he was cooking for us, and we ended up walking all throughout Walmart, and I picked up a Yuri on Ice poster because the ridiculousness of that poster being in this town, like I just had to buy it to surprise the wife. I also bought that soldering iron because it's a hot thing and it can melt metal. And my buddy bought one of those pocket slingshots and a $2 kite. And so when I told my wife all of this, all she could say is like, "You guys are like toddlers with money." And naturally, when we started playing with the slingshot, we took rocks off the ground and shot them straight up into the air.
Nice.
And we're just gonna see what happens. I think I still have both eyes.
On your wife's comment, toddlers with money, at least half of that's true. You guys are certainly toddlers.
And we had a little bit of money. So yeah, we just bought toys. And that's my story for the fun day yesterday. Oh,
nice.
We just had Independence Day. Did you do any freedom-related activities?
Freedom-related activities? I wore my shirt that says, what's it say? It says, guns, bacon, freedom, and something else. It's a really dopey shirt. It's inappropriate to wear it basically all times, except for the 4th of July when everyone else is wearing ridiculous America stuff. Yeah, we were supposed to go to a party, a big bluegrass party, and do a bunch of jamming and stuff, but we decided to just stay in. We went to like a brewery and stuff with some friends earlier in the day, but we didn't do any freedom stuff, man. Fireworks are legal here, though. I mean, we could have done the whole thing. We just didn't. Shame on us.
Yeah, we can't light off fireworks because we're liable to burn the whole state down.
Yeah. If it was Nevada, you could have blown the whole state up. They've been doing that for years.
But on 4th of July, I taught for a few hours, and then I had a doubleheader gig, alternative rock and then jazz. And so
that's an easy transition.
Oh yeah, I actually played upright on both gigs, so one of them suffered, and it wasn't the jazz.
Priorities.
Yeah, so I had no freedom. I was working. But I guess I was exercising my right to work on Freedom Day.
So you still got this teaching gig where you're covering for a guy, right?
Yeah, I was a substitute, and today was my last day, so I am no longer a substitute teacher. I am again unemployed, or as I like to say, fun employed.
Nice. So how's your last day?
It was good. The adult class made a bunch of progress in the 2.5 weeks that I was there. One of my students started playing notes on the first string, we'll call it. And I got him all the way to the second string. So progress is progress. You could play twice as many things as you could when we started. So
I assume when you were teaching him, you really put him in his place, and you're all like, you did some of those.
I did I actually did show them the Back in Black lick today.
Oh, nice.
But I taught the more advanced student. That scale, points if you know what that is.
1 scale to rule them all, 1 scale to bind them.
I'm going to go on a tangent here. Do you know what the One Ring actually does?
No.
I recently learned what the One Ring does. It's 1 ring to rule them all. It can control the lesser ring bearers if they put their ring on. The user of the 1 ring then has control over those people that are ring bearers. Except it didn't work for the elves, 3 rings for the elven people in the sky or whatever. It didn't work on them. And it didn't work on the dwarves. It just made them greedy. They wanted treasure. But it did work on the men, the 9 rings for mortal men doomed to die. So when they put on the rings, they were under the One Ring's master's control. And then they turned into the ring wraiths. Spoiler alert.
Our guitar podcast is becoming like a Stephen Colbert talk show.
But unless you were extremely powerful, you couldn't use like the One Ring's power. And if you put it on, it would put you in like the spirit dimension. And that's why you were invisible when you put the ring on. So yeah, that's the One Ring to rule them all. And this is the 1 scale to rule them all.
Can you play the Shire theme song with the pentatonic scale? No, you really need the 4th. You can't do it without.
Okay.
Oh man. Nice.
But today, it was my last day, and it's the sort of situation where I show up, I offer to teach the class. I was teaching 3 classes: adult guitar, children guitar, and percussion 101. And I was just sitting down. Was in the middle of the children's guitar class, and nobody was showing up. So I was like, sweet, I can sit here, browse Reddit, maybe practice a little bit, and I will have fulfilled my duties. And then this man comes up to me, all ready to play pickleball, and says, "Are you the guitar dude?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Oh, let me see if my kids want to learn how to play the guitar." And then just goes away, and 3 children show up. So I got 3 children pawned off on me with little guitar experience, and it was on my last day. So I did not know what to do.
Well, that's kind of a weird move to just to be like, hey, I need to get rid of these kids, and the only thing around is, a guitar lesson.
Mm.
That's not ideal.
Luckily, I had extra guitars. So what I did was I had them do this for a little while, have some fun, just make lots of noise. And then I assigned fingers on the right hands to strings and had them play Metallica. I didn't have them add that part, but just getting them used to having their fingers plucking notes. And then I taught them attempted to teach them how to play E minor. And it was my last day. I wanted them to be able to do something that sort of resembled music before the regular guy comes back and he can, set them straight and fix them where I broke them. I'm always worried like I'm gonna break a student because sidetracking again. I've watched the Seattle Mariners break a lot of baseball players, just totally ruin them with bad player development and bad coaching. So I have a legitimate fear of ruining a student.
You want to be better than the Mariners?
Yeah. So as long as I'm not a pile of turds, I should be okay.
That's pretty harsh, man. I thought you really liked the Mariners.
I love the Mariners, and they're doing good this
surprised
year.
You're not wearing a Mariners shirt right now.
I'm wearing a shirt of the other thing I like. It's a guitar shirt. My shirts have 3 things on them: Seattle Mariners, Hawaiian stuff like Hawaii, or like some sort of music related thing. Or I've stolen a shirt from my wife and it becomes mine. So I have a shirt with a scar from the live version of The Lion King, and it says, "I am surrounded by idiots."
Yeah, that's a good look for you, man.
I love wearing that shirt, like just to make a subtle statement. And I love wearing it by myself because it's true.
On the subject of students, I know exactly what you're talking about, though. There's a situation you get into a lot with young students where they just kind of get dropped off and they don't really have the interest level that helps the lesson progress. And a lot of times when you end up with those students for a long period of time, that's almost the only moment in your career as a guitar teacher where you have to be like, all right, we really need to practice. It's really important that you go home, like, promise me you're going to do this. Because for most other students, they're just going to do it anyway. They're excited about it. They're going to do it. I understand that every once in a while there's going to be, a student that you have like in high school or something who's playing soccer or whatever, and you have to have that conversation. But 9 times out of 10, when you have that conversation, it's with someone who just doesn't care enough to be there. And then you wonder, why am I here? And I think that's why, once again, the majority of guitar players, quit being teachers. It's because they don't want to deal with those people. And when you start, I think you deal with the majority of those people because you're starting as a guitar teacher. The only students you can get are just kids, right? If you don't have enough clout in the community, then it's hard to get like adults taking lessons from you. And it's like the hardest time. It's so tough. And every single day you're teaching someone an E minor chord again.
I love teaching the E minor chord. It's like, bam, here's some music. Now go play it and annoy your parents.
Whenever I taught it to kids, I would always teach them that it's like the rock and roll symbol, and you put those 2 fingers down on the strings. Well, and I did.
That's a super good technique.
I did that so they would also learn the devil horns, and also so that way when they went to make E major, they would already have this finger free. So a lot of times when people go to make E minor, they make it with their first 2 fingers instead. And then when they go to make E major, they have a harder time. So that's how I did it with little kids.
Do you have any sort of like reward system, like candy or anything like that?
No, I never did that. And I think that I try to foster more of I think, first of all, you were teaching a group class. I think that's a whole different beast that it makes sense to do that with a group class. But I like to foster more of the just the attitude that guitar playing is the anti-work. And we talked about that, how guitar is the thing you do instead of like doing what you're supposed to do. And I think getting your kids to feel that way is really important. And I told kids stuff like that in lessons too. Like young kids, I'd be like, hey, like, you know, you have like homework to do, you have whatever else to do. Like, you don't want to do that, play guitar instead. You know, like if you're not going to do that thing right away, you know, instead of picking up anything else, why don't you pick up your guitar? And I think that's the best attitude.
Yeah.
Did you have a reward system in the class?
No. I didn't. I didn't even think of that until like this moment. But the kid students I had normally, like, they would always come back practiced and like improving, and they were a joy to work with. I was just woefully unprepared to deal with 3 new children today. Like, it's my last day. I'm going home. I can start sleeping in again. No more of this going to bed early bull crap.
Right.
And then all of a sudden 3 kids show up to
You're teaching Metallica again.
Yep. And then I went to percussion class, and that was a day. That was a thing. Because if you give 3 children a pair of sticks to hit stuff with, it's going to be hard to get them to stop hitting stuff.
Yeah, that's why you don't give them sticks. You start with all the hand drums.
Now I know. One thing that irks me as a teacher that I don't know how to deal with yet is when I show somebody, I really break down emotion into, like, not emotions, but like a singular motion, like, and break it down, like what muscle groups are doing what things, what your fingers are doing. And I do it in slow motion. And then the student tells me, yeah, I'm doing that, but it's not working. Like,
and they're not doing that. Yeah.
If it's not working, it's because you're not doing the thing I just described and showed to you.
That's super tough. On the other hand, I really like putting myself in situations where I am that person. And I think it's important to do that regularly if you don't do that regularly. But I like to, like, a good example is like one of the first times me and my girlfriend ever went to the gym together. And I don't remember what the exercise was, but I remember her being like, all right, this is how you do it. This is what you're supposed to do. And she's like, all right, do you feel it, like, you know, here? And, you know, like, do you feel those muscles working? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, how can you not tell if those muscles are working or not? And I was like, I don't know what that feels like. They've never worked before. But you know what I'm saying is that, like, it seemed like a really easy question for her, and for her it is. By the way, if you don't know who my girlfriend is, she works out all the time. She's crazy. She's working out right now. But she, you know, understands how her body works and everything, and that makes sense to her. And I'm an idiot when it comes to that. I'm a complete fool. And you have to realize that sometimes when you're teaching guitar lessons, these people come in and you're like, all right, so really it's more of a forearm rotation instead of, like, you know, a locked elbow with an up and down motion. So you should consider, you know, you talk about all these things, and then they try it and it's just not translating because they haven't spent as much time thinking about how their arm works. Mm-hmm. They've literally never thought about how their arm works until this moment.
Mm-hmm. I find it's a lot easier for me to teach the motions on the guitar than it is for me to teach percussion, because I haven't even played percussion in a good 8 years. But I remember enough from high school that I can give introductory lessons. So what we started with today was just holding the sticks, and I showed them where to hold it and two of them said, "No, I'm not going to hold it there. I'm going to hold it like this instead." And after 2 times of really trying to get them like, "Hey, everything will be easier if you hold it here," and they said, "No." Like, okay, let's move on to something else.
Oh man, real babysitting job. That's tough.
Yeah, like there was a lot of let's move on to something else today. And
Well, I'm glad you had that opportunity
overall,
to like, yeah, you got to like try the group class thing and like see what it feels like, and then slowly feel your soul leave your body, and then be like, hey, I don't have to keep doing this, you know?
Yeah. I was just going to say, all in all, like it was a good experience, like a good gauge of where I'm at as a teacher and like what the job is like. Yeah, I'm open to doing more group lessons, but with I think I'm going to make a cutoff age. You have to be at least 14.
Yeah.
Because I like to use big words to make myself sound smart. Lots of children aren't going to know what ubiquitous means, or acetate, or...
Let's be real, you don't even know what those things mean.
I gotta acetate about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, like... It was real interesting for me to like put the work I've been doing on becoming a better teacher into practice. But now it's over, and I am going to go back to the grindstone, and build up new theories and formulations to fill these people's heads with. That's all I'm doing. I'm just filling their heads with my theories.
Just because we said a lot of things about group lessons just now, I think what really helps group lessons just in general is normally the level of professionalism around the lesson. And for instance, almost all of the group lessons that I've taught in my life have been at like festivals, or they've been at festivals or like folk schools. And the idea is, that I'm there as a resource, and, I'm going to teach you about bluegrass, and the people who show up are, very serious and intent on actually getting something out of it. And that's what makes it work, is just their attitude of respect and understanding. And I think that that's really difficult when we talk about beginner lessons, and especially with kids, because there may not be that level of respect, which means that the majority of the lesson is you trying to foster that level of respect before you can actually even teach anything. And huge tip of the hat to everyone who actually does that, because I can't do that. I fail at that.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Mr. Long. You're the man. And yeah, have fun with your students. One more thing.
Hey, oh yeah, go ahead.
I just feel like I deal as a person much better one-on-one than I do like in a group. And this doesn't just pertain to teaching, like just like hanging out. I much prefer to be a one-on-one kind of person rather than hanging out in a big group of people. So maybe that's where I should go all in. But continue. Your turn.
Oh, I was just going to say, earlier we said we were going to talk more about Jazz and Grass, and Jazz and Grass on Instagram, I guess I should say, about what we do there and why we do it and all of that stuff. Do you want to get on that?
Yeah. Why do I do this thing? Why did we even think to do this thing?
I think it was a real spontaneous late night decision.
That's exactly what it was. But why am I continuing to do it? I want to give people sort of a little bit of a foundation. I want to foster, line development, building lines. and the way I'm starting to do that is by giving you guys a simple, 2 to 4 measure line. That's essentially, a word or a phrase in the jazz vocabulary. And another reason why I choose to write the licks that I do and post the licks that I do is to get your hands accustomed to doing new things. That line I use so much, but coming from a pentatonic background, you may not, your hands may not be accustomed to doing a line like, and so I'm trying to, deliver small building steps, building blocks, small baby steps, on playing, longer improvisational lines.
I think what's interesting about what we're talking about is that we're actually getting into some of the some of the concept of like what is a lick and what makes a lick useful, and I think that's what we're both trying to state in these is like, somewhere in there's some nugget of usefulness, whether it's like how the lick like travels maybe up and down the neck or like up and down the strings, or however that might work, or maybe about how it honors the chord, or maybe just about some little useful like trick or turnaround or sequence of notes, whatever it is, we're taking that and then we're trying to frame it in an interesting way, so that way you can see how interesting it is, and hopefully you will take it into your playing. And all of that is actually really hard to do in 3 or 4 measures. You have to like set up the whole backstory, create an intro and some kind of outro, a beginning and conclusion, and then in the middle you have to drop whatever it is that's interesting. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes when I post licks, I feel like they're a little bit of a failure, in that I watch them back and I'm like, I could have made this look more interesting, because it is interesting. We're never posting anything that's boring, but sometimes it's hard to like point out what we're doing.
I never really directly stated this on Instagram or on this podcast, but I am smack dab in the middle of a 20-week series on small lines over static tonalities.
Secret series.
Yeah, secret series. I should have like said something about it, but I don't know what I was thinking. I'm kind of an idiot. But the first tonality, they're all in C, is C7, C dominant. And then that's every Tuesday. Every Thursday is C major. Sounds over lines over a major tonality. And Fridays are lines over the C minor tonality. And so what I've been doing for the past, I don't know how long it's been going for, but I'm just trying to give you single static lines. There are some times in tunes where you'll have a chord for 2 bars. And if you're really focusing on playing changes, like it can be daunting to try to think of something interesting to play over one chord for, more than 2 beats or 4 beats. So I'm trying to get, the hand and the head ready to play over a certain tonality. And I really think that there are only 3 tonalities: major, minor, and dominant. And if you have good solid lines over those tonalities, it's a strong foundation on linking those tonalities together. So like D minor 7 to F minor 7 to B flat 7 to C major. Like you play minor tonality, minor tonality over the F chord, dominant tonality over the B flat chord. And then major tonality over the C. I'm just trying to, set up the next larger series.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice because, I do this too. And, just like you said, I don't really talk about it. But I normally do it with, initially when we started Jazz and Grass, I did it with keys a lot. And I would just do a batch, for the next couple weeks. And they would all be in G, or they would all be in C, or they'd all be in D. And you can look at that. And I realized that, at least for bluegrass, I don't think just putting a bunch of things in the same key together was a very good idea. And now I'm trying to think about broader ideas and then putting them into a bunch of different keys. But yeah, I think that we're doing the same thing. We're following through patterns. Just because in the last couple of days I've been playing more electric guitar, I think that maybe I'll do some more country stuff in my next couple licks. I don't know, man. Don't try to put me in a box.
I'm trying to put you in that grass box, dog. Yeah, you should definitely do some country licks, and I'll include some fusion licks. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, you should. I think that the concept of Jazz and Grass becomes more fun when we make it kind of even more broad. Like what other stuff from the jazz camp and what other stuff from the sort of Americana camp can we include?
Mm-hmm.
Then we can both record blues licks.
I know very few blues licks.
Yeah, me too.
But the one thing I did want to hit on, I've forgotten it already. Keep talking. I'll remember it.
Oh no, Lyman! You do so good.
I have brain farted.
Were you going to talk about dabbing?
Not yet.
About
Not yet.
You're going to dab on?
one more thing that I'm trying to remember.
We're talking about licks. We're talking about doing some broader things. I like this. The podcast is now just me trying to lead Lyman back down his train of thought.
Yeah, we went so long with me, going on tangents and you just letting it happen. I feel like you've cut me off the leash and now you've put me back on, but the leash is really long and now I don't know what to do. So another just side anecdote. This is the anecdotal podcast. Little bonus thing for you guys. I'm in this band. I'm playing bass in this alt rock band, and
playing upright bass.
I was actually playing electric bass. I play in 2 alt rock bands right now. It's weird, but I haven't been in this band too long. Maybe about a month, month and a half, and we're looking at new prospective drummers. And my buddy, shout out to Cam, he showed up, and the drummer from the band was like, "Hey, you want to play a set?" And so he played a set with us, and it was my duty to lead him in the right direction. And this is how I felt. I felt like I was the new crew member at McDonald's, and the manager left, and he left me with a new recruit that I had to train. And it was daunting and stressful, and I don't know what I'm doing. And Afterwards, all I could say was, "Sorry, buddy. I did my best."
Oh man.
We only got a little bit of fryer oil on us.
Nice. Man, you're talking about McDonald's like from experience, man. You know what's going on back there.
I've the only food service job I've worked is a concession stand at a I don't know if they're minor league or like independent baseball league. It was a baseball team. I worked concessions. That was a fun job because I love baseball. I got to be at a baseball game almost every day.
Yeah, they don't let me eat next to food. It's just it's a legality thing.
Yeah. Oh, I remembered the thing I was going to talk about. I remembered it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
To me, jazz and grass is like absolutely 0% vanity for me. Like, hey, look what I can play. Look at this cool, clever thing I did. Jazz and grass is, for me, the jazz side, is to get more new or old guitar players interested in playing jazz and giving them, the building blocks they need to get started playing this music that can be kind of daunting. And so I'll give you 3 lines a week, and if you learn those lines, you'll have a little bit of vocabulary, and it'll be that much easier to start playing jazz.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. It's like there's just like so many different genres and ways to approach the instrument, and getting anyone excited about how to do that in a bluegrass way or how to do that in a country way, I think is what it's all about. And that's the weird thing, is that so many people, when they talk about, coming from the grass side of things now, so many people, when they talk about music that they listen to, say, oh yeah, I listen to everything except country. And that's fine. I mean, I was one of those people. I said that. But, really what they say when everything except for country is they're excluding like a lot of just, truly American genres. They're just being like, oh yeah, I don't listen to any of that. Like bluegrass and the rest of the folk scene and the Americana and the outlaw country scene and the so on and so forth, right? There's so much stuff we could talk about. But the funny thing is that I think when you look at the guitar instruction stuff, so many people want like country guitar and like the bluegrass guitar. Like so many people actually want that. I think that just in public, people don't admit it. So if I'm that guy that, is just the one that's publicly out there being like, hey, here it all is, come and get it. That's great. I love doing that. And I hope people are soaking it all up and they're getting all that great instruction.
Mm-hmm. I think we're doing the world a great service.
Yeah, we're pretty great people, right?
Mm-hmm. My tongue is literally in my cheek.
Anyways, we were alluding to earlier, yeah. So before Lyman gets going, I'm going to put a big old disclaimer on this because I know you're going to get all hot and fired up over there. So what happened? If I could just like give a brief overview of the story. So we got a comment, and this guy had some opinions about the Jazz and Grass Instagram page, and it was really funny. Like immediately I was laughing. I don't know what your immediate reaction was, but I thought it was funny. He's definitely not a hater. I think he was just trying to give constructive criticism, and I think he just wasn't appreciating how you were coming at the situation of like providing a million licks every single day, right?
Mm.
Anyway, go ahead. You tell the story. I just want people to know that we don't hate this guy at all. That's not it at all. We're like happy to have him watching and everything.
Mm.
We're just laughing about the fact that it happened.
I think I'm gonna take this into a different direction than you were thinking.
Oh, really?
The dude totally played off of my biggest insecurities. That you carry this project.
Oh no, I don't know about that, man. By the way, just just to point out that that's not true. I'm very, very much caught up in my own stuff. I basically only work on my own YouTube videos, and like 90% of Jazz and Grass is Lyman. The other night, Lyman texted me at 11:30 p.m. and he said, "Are you going to post a lick today?" I had messed up so bad that I only had 30 more minutes to post a lick, and Lyman was the one to be like, hey. But really, Lyman does all the work for this. He does all the editing on the podcast and everything. I just show up and talk.
Yeah, and you play great licks that are very, very interesting and not boring.
Yeah, I've been meaning to show you this bad boy. Check this guy out. What do you think of that?
I think we might get copy striked.
It was that close to the recording.
But yeah, like there was this guy. I think his name was Andrew. So shout out to Andrew. Yeah, he said something to the effect. I'm not gonna go grab my phone and look at the comment like that.
You want me to read it? I can find it.
Oh yeah, do it.
Okay. You just gotta give me a second. I'll find it. Thank you for that. So just to like add insult to injury about this comment is that it was on a really weird lick I posted too. So it's like kind of out of my normal realm too. This guy comments and says, "I'm trying really hard not to sound like a jerk, but it seems like the time and effort put forth by the bluegrass guy is significantly more than the jazz guy. All of the bluegrass riffs are unique and exciting, and the jazz ones are all just kind of cliche and boring. I hope you guys can take that constructively and not think I'm just a hater." Which is funny because some of my licks are very boring. This just happened to be like one super weird one.
So yeah, he hit me where it hurt, and I'm letting you know that you hurt my feelings.
You hurt my feelings.
I'm just playing, dog. You're cool, I guess. But yeah, like I guess that's what I was trying to say with the point, like of that it's not a place of vanity for me. Like, if I wanted to, I could post stuff like every day. But
maximum jazz.
Maximum over jazz.
Oh, that's a great like cheesy album title. Is that already an album?
I don't think so. I think it should be an entire genre. Maximum over jazz. But yeah, I'm just trying to do a little bit of basics right now, and I felt like I needed some justification. Like, I'm just trying to give some people some building blocks. Yeah, like. It made me really rethink like how much effort I put into this project. So I got a new camera. I'm going to make my licks not look so much like garbage anymore. They'll look a little bit better. So my production quality will be a little bit closer to Marcel's.
Lyman's gonna get better quality production than me now. I'm gonna look bad. I'm gonna be the bad one. People are gonna leave comments on my licks like, "Man, your licks sound good, but like, why does the video look so bad?"
I don't even know the model name of the camera I was using, but it was one of those like webcams that shoots in quote unquote 720p, but it's all grainy and stuff. So yeah. I decided that's the end of that. It's time to move on. And up my game a little bit because at least it feels like to me for a little while, as far as the licks go and the production goes, Marcel's been carrying the ship.
Once again, I don't think that's true, but we could do that all day.
But come September, I've got a new series coming. That's got actual common chord changes. Like, I worked on a bunch of lines going from C major to A7. It's real common, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. So I got a couple batches of 2/5 licks in different keys, and got the major 1 to 4 dominant thing, and because I want to do stuff that's a little bit more exciting, I'm gonna start doing weird triadic chromatic stuff.
You're gonna get hate comments about it.
Yeah, it's just noise. There is no music. Jazz is stupid. Just play the right notes.
Angela from The Office, yeah.
Got him.
How hard can it be to just play the right notes? Yeah.
It is extremely hard to play. Confined to the changes. Like, just, a side note.
Speaking of your album title, what was it again? What was that? Maximum Jazz Overdrive?
Maximum Over Jazz.
Maximum Over Jazz. Yeah, there you go. I was hanging out with some bluegrass guys, and they were joking about like the bluegrass cliches, and one of the cliches they came up with was the diatonic landscapes. But when everything's just right there in the major scale. There's your diatonic landscape. And then the other one they had was the chromatic universe, which is just, way too much chromaticism, so it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, if you're listening to jazz, remember to classify everything, whether it's in the diatonic landscape or the chromatic universe.
Or, maximum over jazz.
Maximum over jazz. Yeah, I would really like to make an album that's diatonic landscapes, and it's just almost unlistenable. It's just like major scales, just like repackaged and repackaged and repackaged.
I would buy that album. It'd be a pretty good meme.
Diatonic landscape.
Yeah, anything to say to Mr. Albert?
Mr. Albert?
The guy who commented.
Oh, I thought his name was Andrew or something. Whatever his name was. No, I just want to say, thanks for being on my side. I've always known that I was better. I just needed someone to come out and say it. No, but really, just thanks for being a fan, and thanks for caring enough to say something. I really appreciate that. And that's something that people talk about a lot. Maybe if you haven't done much playing out, you might not have heard this, but one advice that gets given out to people who perform a lot is that most of the people who want to hate, or not even hate, give criticism, are fans. Mm-hmm. The only reason they're giving you any kind of lit back is because they feel like they can, because they've listened to so much of your stuff. And I've noticed that running my YouTube channel, most of the time when I get a weird comment, and I think someone's being kind of harsh, if I say anything back at all, they're immediately like, oh man, super glad to hear back from you. Yeah, sounds like it was just a misunderstanding. Love your content. Like they, immediately are just excited to hear from me. And I think that's kind of the truth of how it goes. People are really harsh when they don't think that you exist on the other side. And then when you say something, their tune kind of changes a little bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm sure, I'm sure he listens to all our licks and checks his stuff, likes our page and stuff.
And I actually responded to your comment, Alan, and I wasn't joking when I said thank you for the thoughtful comment. Like, it actually does inspire me to be better. But yeah, watch out because I'm gonna get better and I'm gonna win.
Yeah, watch out, all you haters. He's gonna dab on you.
I'm going to destroy my competition, which is Marcel. So. You listen to anything cool lately?
Oh man, I am the worst person to do this question right now, but I'll do it anyway. Yeah, what oh man, I've been really into podcasts for a while now, but I've been following a couple new ones. Number one shout out is to No Sleep. Probably there's this podcast called No Sleep, and it's just horror stories, and they're all enacted like old school, like radio plays, like radio dramas, and they're wonderful. They're so great. I put them on like almost every single night, and I listen to them, and they help me sleep. Super good, spooky stuff. Highly recommend. The other thing I've been listening to is the Dungeons and Dragons podcast, also videos, Critical Role. Super fun watching people like just be creative and essentially just improvise. It actually, watching it relates to music in a pretty big way. You get to watch people like make decisions and think themselves out of bad choices and be able to like work in any possible situation. It's really, really interesting too. So if you're interested in like improvising in a broader context, I would definitely check that out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, that's what I'm into.
Couple things. Like I got a music related thing, and a podcast related thing. But I last night I went to go see a movie with my wife and her friend and my British friend. And on the way back, he put on a playlist. Like I didn't know what it was, but it sounded like exactly like circa 2015 Liquid Trap. And I was just reminded that is my favorite type of music still. It's been my favorite type of music for like the past 3 years. Not so much, the future bassy, lots of super saw type of things, but like a little bit more minimalist, but heavy 808s, cool sounds. They sound a little bit bubbly. But I found a podcast that is very, very not safe for work. It's called Local Obscene. You can find it on Bandcamp under Chief Swiftwater, who is an absolutely incredibly interesting artist. I don't even know how to describe him. He just makes very, very weird stuff. And my dad listened to his stuff, and he said he reminds him of the guy from The Room, Tommy Wiseau. For better or for worse. But I really like his stuff. It's super interesting. But he started a podcast, and like I was listening to it as I was setting up to record the podcast today. And it was very, very not safe for work. Like instantly they started talking about some unsavory stuff. And it was hilarious to me. So yeah, I'm going to listen to some more future bass, Liquid Trap. And I'm definitely excited for this new podcast. It's called Local Obscene. You can find that on Chief Swiftwater's Bandcamp.
Oh man, yeah, you're just shouting out whatever you want now.
Yeah. Isn't that why you should have a podcast, to shout out your friends?
Yeah, that's true. So what have you been working on lately?
I've been working on not breaking those students I had. And
oh yeah, right.
Also working on a bunch of like 1 to 6 licks, like 1 to 6 to 2. That wasn't a lick. And just still trying to, make my way through that line construction book, all the tab for that. I got through tabbing out a bunch of like different ways to play. All the different diatonic seventh chords in all across the different strings, and crossing the B string, which I might start tuning my guitar in fourths again. This B string is upsetting me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You're going back. You're doing the thing.
I might. Because I have more than one guitar now, so I can I can do different things. But like, I don't know, man. It's kind of scary to make that jump. It was
I could never stick it when I did it. Yeah.
It was easier back in the day when I had like just one guitar. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I can't retune it, so I just have to play like this. I did a couple gigs that way.
That's crazy.
I think it's
I wouldn't gig like that. That's insane.
It was a testament to like, how either fearless or ignorant I am. I'm leaning towards ignorant. What are you working on?
Well, I have an electric guitar, so I should talk about that. There's a lot of country stuff that I only kind of do, and I guess I would like to make that a more real part of my playing. Not to give up bluegrass in any sort of way or anything, just as another thing I'm interested in. But one of the really interesting things about how country guitar works is all the different ways they'll all the different ways they'll embellish like these simple phrases. So you'll get like, something like, right, which is the line that I played earlier, which is just 2 3 2 1, right? This is super basic. And they'll find all these different ways to play it. So of course they would pick the 6th. Right, it's going to sound really country. They'll also do it with a bend, maybe. They'll do it with a double stop. Right, and all of these things sound like country, just like slightly different, right? They do kind of just, very slightly different things. And, one of the interesting things about having to solo in a country scenario is being able to put all of those things together over all the different chords, so it means something. And I guess that's what's hard in a lot of genres, but you get in those situations where right, you have to like find how you're going to grab all of those things in the closest places for every chord, and it gets really tough. If you're interested in getting into any country guitar, I think one of the most like accessible places to start is that you can always bend up to the 3rd of a chord from the 2nd. Right, which is what I did as an example there. That's always going to feel super country, especially if you play the root right after it. And the way that I'm making it, kind of selling it even more, is I'm playing the 5th on a higher string. Right, and bending up to the 3rd. And there's lots of places you can do that. Basically, wherever you have a chord that has a 5th in it, you can find the 2nd and the 3rd below that, and you can make that bend happen. Whoops. Would be... Yeah, right there too. You can find lots of places to find that, and that's a really easy thing to fit into your playing immediately. And then, of course, all of those 6 lines. And I think just those 2 things, you can get a lot of country stuff into your playing. you can start stringing those things together and trying to make like usable sentences, you're just going to have a really tough time with it for for a long time. Just like me, I still don't think it sounds super convincing, but it's getting there. It's getting more real.
From a country player / listener, it convinced me.
Yeah, there's so many other things that feel super country that you can add in that I'm just less familiar with. I really like this. That's supposed to be like more of a Memphis style thing, I guess, and I don't really know how to do it. And I should be using more of that and everything else, but I'm just not for whatever reason.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. Is that a podcast?
I think that's a podcast, man.
I think that's a podcast.
Yeah. Once again, wonderful having you here and hanging out with us and listening to us just blabber. This podcast was full of non sequiturs. This is like the least put together podcast we've ever done. We just talked about literally anything that came up, and the entire time there's thunder in the background.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's recap. Lord of the Rings. I remember that.
Yeah, definitely talked about Lord of the Rings. What else did we talk about? Man, there's just so many things. Like we talked about Albert for a while.
Mm-hmm. We talked about the Seattle Mariners being a pile of turds, which they are not this year. They're a pile of polished turds. But every year for like the past 15 years before that, they've been hot garbage.
Once again, I'm still going to say harsh words, man. That's pretty harsh.
I love the Mariners. But I am a Mariners fan, so my favorite game time drink and snack is, bleach on the rocks and Tide Pods.
Now the podcast is definitely being shut down. Like we're oh man. Okay. Yeah. So if you like this side of the podcast, the grass side of the podcast, you can find me at lessonswithmarcel.com. Bunch of free stuff. You can sign up for Skype lessons. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, there's my big YouTube channel, Lessons with Marcel. And there's a new video every Wednesday. The video last week was good. I'm going on a big trip soon, and I'm trying to catch up on all my videos, so I have them planned ahead. And I can tell you that the next couple scripts are going to be pretty funny. So I don't know. Check them out as they come out.
Are you doing a vlog for that trip?
Yeah, I think I will. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, but I think I'm just going to... I don't think I'm going to do 2 vlogs. I think I'm just going to do 1.
I'm excited for that. Get to see some familiar things.
Yeah, right?
I'm Lyman Lipke. You can find me at lymanlipke.com, which will lead you to my SoundCloud, where I release 2 lo-fi hip-hop jazz things every week, and can sign up for lessons if you want to study with me, or like a one-off lesson if you're feeling stuck, and you can also find this podcast there, so get trapped in that infinite loop again.
Yeah, and the last thing to point out is, once again, Jazzagrass, Instagram, new licks every single weekday. And of course, this podcast comes out every Sunday. The Grass licks come out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Lyman's licks, the Jazz licks, come out on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. 2 licks on Friday, because otherwise it would alternate every week, and our brains just couldn't handle that. Mm-mm. So yes, please check that out. Please follow that. Give some of those videos a like. I'm sure you'll like all the licks.
Yeah, buddy. And if you have any questions, or, Mr. Alfred wants to, call in, you can call or text us at area code 724-257-1046. That's area code 724-257-1046.
Yeah, man. That's good. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.